For the average consumer, it can sometimes feel like technology is advancing at breakneck speeds. Think about how long it took to get from writing artful, poetic letters to the first telephone, shattering previous communication barriers. A little more time passed, and in came the cell phone, making communication even more mobile. Then, soon after that, was the dawn of the smart device, and now we can text or video chat with friends and family across the world on a whim. It can be overwhelming to think about, often producing a healthy dose of awe, but there is another emotion that comes with pondering the advancements of humanity: a dull, aching dread. A feeling that something is not quite right, but we can't put a finger on how or why. When will we hit the proverbial ceiling of what humans can create? When will the smart tech become smarter than we are? When will we reach the end? Well, this took a dark turn right out of the gate, but I can promise you it's relevant, as today we are talking about the futuristic skies of Beyond Galaxyland, a brand new turn-based creature-collecting RPG where you are tasked with saving the fate of the world as we know it in a classic, intergalactic sci-fi setting. But is Beyond Galaxyland really out of this world, or does it come in for a crash landing? It's time to suit up and find out. Before we blast off into this review, I'll serve as your friendly space flight attendant and remind you to like and subscribe so you don't miss the review of your next favorite indie game. Also, while you're poking around down there, do check us out over at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames for early and ad-free content, an exclusive podcast, Discord access, and more. Your stellar indie gaming community is waiting for you. As we're preparing for liftoff, please return to your seats and make sure that your seatbelts are securely fastened. The cart will be arriving shortly to offer you a tiny can of Coke and a bag of stale pretzels. Alright, I'll stop. But there are a few things to keep in mind when you're embarking on this 14 to 18 hour trip beyond Galaxyland. First and foremost, this is a sci-fi adventure that attempts to honor the classic space adventures we've all come to know and love. If you don't think that space is a fascinating, albeit terrifying realm of endless possibilities, then this is not going to be a game for you. Next, all the cool outer space exploration in the world won't make you enjoy this title if you're not a fan of turn-based battles. Lucky for me, I enjoy both. Beyond Galaxyland opens on Doug, our high school protagonist, returning home from what I can only assume was some sort of Halloween festivities with his friend Rosie. There's a jack-o'-lantern outside and they're dressed in costumes. Look, Mom, I'm putting my English degree to good use with those context clues. Anyway, Doug asks Rosie to wait outside as he enters his home to retrieve Boom Boom the guinea pig to show off his furry friend. When he returns outside, something is most certainly not right, and Rosie is nowhere to be found. After being chased into an underground cave by an ominous floating entity, Doug enters a portal which changes the course of his life forever. Upon awakening on the other side of the portal, Doug is informed that humanity as he knows it is no more. They have succumbed to the end, that inescapable dread that has been worming its way into humanity and across the galaxy. See, I told you that intro would be relevant, and he has been selected to be saved. Bummer about all his friends and family back home, but hey, he should be grateful, right? Oh, and his little furry friend Boom Boom, not so little anymore, also at least slightly more intelligent and can wield a gun. It's a whole thing. Doug's rescuers are employed by Dream Corps, an intergalactic corporation that has been enacting similar rescues all across the galaxy, taking the displaced and rehoming them on their own planets in Galaxyland. Everyone trusts a good old-fashioned, all-powerful corporation, right? Needless to say, this reality doesn't sit very well with our high school hero, and he's anxious to find out whether the bleak reality Dream Corps has painted is accurate, or if there's still some hope for his home and life as he knew it. Doug travels across a wide array of planets with diverse ecosystems and residents, and his quest to return to what's left of his home and get to the bottom of what Dream Corps is really up to, with a little help from his friends, of course. And that brings us to the action. Being a turn-based RPG, you'll have a party that includes our protagonist and slots for a few of his friends. Each party member has unique attacks and abilities, which set them apart both in and out out of combat. For example, Doug carries a sword, which he can use to break objects outside of battle, or to get an advantage against an enemy before engaging in combat. He also has the ability to scan enemies for their stats by taking their photos, and, get ready for this one, the option to capture enemies in battle. That's right, we've got to catch them all in this sucker. Well, we don't really have to catch them all, but it's actually super helpful to document and capture your foes, as they can be used as a summons in battle. Different types of creatures have unique, often elemental abilities, some offensive and some defensive, but all really exciting to uncover. The battle system is super simple to get into and not particularly challenging for the seasoned turn-based veteran, especially since healing items are quite easy to come by. Capturing enemies can require a bit more strategy and effort on the player's part, but as a whole, I'd say Beyond Galaxyland is a pretty accessible experience that skews on the easier side, at least on your first playthrough. That's right, there is a new game plus option of sorts that allows you to toggle on additional challenges and difficulty settings to keep things fresh and interesting. Don't worry though, just because Beyond Galaxyland isn't the most challenging game you've ever played, doesn't mean that it doesn't keep things exciting. When you're not in combat, the developers do a great job of mixing in puzzle elements, platforming feats, bosses to best, and even racing. Not for Doug, for Boom Boom, of course. I enjoyed the balance that is struck between exploration, quests, platforming, minigames, and combat. It never felt like the game was leaning too far in any direction, nor did it ever feel like it was trying too hard, despite how many diverse gameplay elements are being used here. Of course, you'll still get your fair share of items to equip, crafting to learn, and even collectibles to discover, but it never feels hard to manage. This is due in part to the clean menus, a decently detailed quest log, and competent map. I never once found myself lost in Beyond Galaxyland, which is an impressive feat because I have literally been lost in a parking garage before. If I had to choose a weak point, I'd say the platforming and general traversal system, while functional, isn't always the neatest. Since the game is presented in a 2.5D format, you'll often need to find a set of glowing arrows to glide between fields of view. Does it work? Sure, but did I love how intrusive the arrows could be at times? And did it take away from the breathtaking pixel art visuals? Just slightly, but enough to be noticeable. You do get a double jump, but it's not the most precise of mechanics and can sometimes send you flying right past your target or just short and unable to grab a ledge to compensate. Wonky 2.5D platforming aside, Beyond Galaxyland weaves a thrilling sci-fi fantasy tale, yet one that is deeply rooted in reality. It's a story that will keep you engaged and unsure of what lurks around the next corner of the galaxy, and that makes any slight misstep in mechanics well worth it. Especially when paired with some of the best use of pixel graphics I have ever seen. This game is art. I could watch a movie in this style and be perfectly content. The impeccable use of lighting, layers, and colors makes this game nothing short of impressive to look at. Every environment, every enemy, every character is so well detailed, you genuinely get sucked into the action. The way the scenes are layered creates these little dioramas of color-rich pixels that each feel like they could be framed and hung on your wall. The bosses and wider angle shots do make for some particularly cinematic, jaw-dropping scenes, even if zooming out makes it a little harder to keep track of your party. And of course, what's a beautiful game without an earworm of a soundtrack? This is hands down my favorite soundtrack of 2024. There is such variety to the tunes that play as you explore the galaxy and collect creatures that the game spans not only planets but musical genres. You get everything from hip-hop beats to light jazzy piano and bass-thumping electronica. When I tell you that my head was in a perpetual state of bobbing for this entire experience, it is not an exaggeration. There are so many songs, and every one is just as mind-bending and impressive as the last. There's no voice acting, which allows the soundtrack to really shine as the voice of this game, as it should. Beyond Galaxyland is every bit as exciting and intriguing to play as it is to look at. The well-crafted crafted and thoughtful story is one that will capture your attention and keep you engaged from beginning to end. The art is exceptional for its style, and the soundtrack is comprised of banger after banger. Creature collecting is a fun way to add an element of strategy to your battles, and the other gameplay elements keep things fresh and interesting, even if it isn't a substantial amount of challenge on your first playthrough. While the jumping and traversal won't rival your favorite platformer, it's a functional enough experience to get the job done. It's also just fun to be able to play as any one of your party members at any given point in time. Here at I Dream of Indie Games, we have a lamp tiering system with bronze, silver, and gold lamps representing good, great, and exceptional games respectively. We also have a rusty lamp for games with still a glimmer of promise, as well as the dreaded Indie Krampus for games that need a little more time in the indie oven. When it comes to Beyond Galaxyland, I am awarding this title the Silver Genie Lamp of Approval.